Okay, so I'm gonna go in Desmos first and type in these equations to get the answer before I even begin. Because again, remember, this is practice. It's not like you gotta, take a quiz. It's not like when you guys do your homework, don't think of it like a quiz. Think of it as you're practicing, right? So it's okay to know the answer of what you should get. So the answer is 0, -2. So I'm gonna write that down. All right, so I'm writing that next to the problem. I'm gonna put that in my column here. The solution is 0 and -2. And some of you guys, I know you don't like doing that. You actually prefer to kind of like find out in the end. But I'm just telling you this could be helpful too. That way, like halfway through your work, you can kind of figure out whether you're on the right track or not. Okay, so now I'm going to do the other two. So -7x minus 6y equals 30. And what's the other one? 5x plus 9y equals -12. All right, so there's a lot of lines going on there, right? So in Desmos, all I got to do is click on the first two, is the color, that button, and then it turns those off. So the answer to that one is -6, 2. All right, so we already know the answers. -6 and 2. All right, so that'll help so that as we work through it, once you find that first solution, you like already know if you're on the right track or not. That way you're not like, you don't go through the whole thing and then find out you got it wrong at the end. And now you kind of can figure that out as you go, okay? Which honestly, if you're doing that on the quiz, you can do it on the quiz too, guys. Check your answers that way. Make sure you actually got it right. Okay, so here, again, we need to make opposites. Okay, remember that elimination is all about making opposites. Okay, I want one of these to be negative and the other to be positive. Now, a question that might come up is, what's the easiest variable to eliminate? Well, if I need to opposites, I need to have the same number. I'm just going to put a little pound sign for a number. Same number and opposite sign. One has to be plus, one has to be minus. All right, if I'm looking at the x's, they're not the same number, and neither is the y. Okay, well, I don't have that, but how about opposite sign? Well, these are both positive, but these are opposite signs. So if they're already opposite signs, that's probably the easiest variable to eliminate. So that's what we're going to eliminate. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate y because they're opposite. Okay, at least they're opposite signs. Opposite signs, just to clarify, they're opposite signs. Okay, so we're going to eliminate y. All right, so that means I need to multiply the equations in order to do that. Now, if you notice, I always want to multiply the smaller number, but I can't multiply 5 times anything to get it to be 6, so that means I got to multiply both equations. Okay, and this is kind of like where we left off on yesterday, where we had to multiply both equations. Now, they're already opposites, so I don't need to change the sign of either of these. So to get them to be the same, I just basically take the bottom number and multiply it times the top number, multiply it times the bottom, okay? And by the way, I think I'm gonna change the second example. So hopefully you guys aren't using pen, if you're using a pencil, but if you are using pen, then just cross it out. I'm gonna use a different example to help you guys out. So I'm gonna distribute that to every term. Okay, so we'll get 40x, then minus 30, and equals 12. And then the bottom is going to be 36x plus 30 this time. So there's our opposites, same number, opposite sign. Okay, and then equals 6 times -10. And here's where you got to be careful. Make sure you're multiplying every number. Multiply every number. Okay, so now our opposites cancel out, become 0. And now I add up the rest. I feel like something's off here. Did I forget something?
You didn't multiply 12.
See? Don't hesitate to tell me. All right, so that should have been 60 because I forgot to opposite. I literally was just saying multiply every single number, and look, and I missed it. Okay, so 60 should be 5 times 12. All right, so now I add these two up. I'll get 76 x equals 60 minus 60. Well, that's 0. Now, a lot of times what happens, I notice with students, and you get to this point and you get a 0, you get confused and you're like, huh? What do I do now? It's a 0. There's no number there. Thank you, Mace. You saw it too. You still follow the same steps. I'm still going to divide this number next to x. Okay. Now 0 divided by 76. Well, remember, we already know the answer for x. We found it. It's 0. So that's why it looks odd, because you're dividing 0 by another number, so x equals 0. Okay, so that's our first solution. So we're on the right track. And that's the whole point of like find the solution first, use Desmos, so that you know you're on the right track. That way, as you're practicing this, you kind of have the idea halfway through instead of getting to the end and finding out later, okay? Okay, so now we're gonna find y. Okay, so 6x plus 5y. I'll use that one. Remember, it doesn't matter which one you use. Okay, so I'm gonna take the 0, and now we're gonna plug that in to the x. Remember, we write parentheses there. So that'll pretty much just go away because it's 6 times 0. 6 times 0 is just 0. So I'll just cross that out. So now it's just 5y equals negative 10. Divide both sides by 5. And y equals 2. All right, so now I'm going to write parentheses 0, 2. And now I'll go, okay, does it match up with the answer that I got on Desmos? Wait a minute, it's negative. Oh, because it was negative divided by positive. Okay, so again, guys, that's the whole point of that. All right. That's why you want to look for your solution ahead of time. That way, especially because I know you guys are working on this on your own. It's not like you're in class with your classmates around you and you got me, kind of looking over your shoulder. It's like you're doing this on your own. So use those things to kind of help yourself to at least, know where you're going. All right, so for you guys that are watching the video, I did just change this equation. So make sure you change that for your notes if you're watching the recording of this. Okay, so again, same idea. We got to make opposites, right? Now in this case, all I had to do was take this bottom number, multiply it times the top, take the top number, multiply it at the bottom. Didn't have to do anything but a positive 5 and a positive 6. Okay, now 9 and 5, they're not the same. 7 and 2, not the same. And these are both negative, and these are both positive. So we don't have the same number, and we don't have opposites. So what that means, we're going back to what we talked about yesterday, one of the numbers you multiply must be negative. Just one, though. Because if you do both negative, you're pretty much end right back up where you started. You're going to have two numbers with the same sign. So only one of them should be negative. Now in this case, I'm just going to pick the numbers in the front. I'm going to use these two numbers right here, the x. That's where we're going to eliminate. So I'm going to write that here on the side. Because really, neither one is better than the other. If they're both the same sign and they're both different numbers, then really, it doesn't matter which one you eliminate. So I'm just going to eliminate the first one. Okay, eliminate x variable. All right, so that means I'm going to multiply 5 up here, 9 down here. Remember, just pretty much bring that number down, bring this number up. Remember, I need one of them to be negative. Doesn't matter which one I choose. I'm going to just go ahead and make the negative one, the one on the bottom negative. Okay, that way that sign will change the positive. Okay, so now I'm going to distribute. Be a little bit more careful to make sure I multiply that last number like I didn't the first time. So the first number will be negative 45x. 5 times 7y, 35y. And honestly, even when I work on this by myself, like sometimes I say it out loud just to help my brain think like, okay, 5 times 9. Because sometimes like as you're like speeding through it, you miss it because you're not like, it's like driving. Like you drive from like 100 miles and then you look up and you're like, oh shoot, I didn't notice I was even driving because you were just kind of going. All right. I know you guys aren't driving yet, but I bet some of your parents have done that before where they're like driving and they're like, oh shoot, I missed the exit, right? Or they're dropping you off at school. At least I've done that. All right, anyways, negative 9 times negative 5x, positive 45x. Negative 9 times positive 2y, that'd be negative 18y. If I make a mistake, please correct me. Negative 9 times negative 12, I'm gonna go ahead and look that up. Okay, by the way, you can do calculations on here here as well. So if I do like negative 9 times negative 12, it'll tell you the answer on the graphing calculator as well, not just the scientific. So 108. Okay. All right, so now let's line it all up. These will cancel. Then we have 35 minus 18. That's going to be 17. 17y. And then we have 45 plus 108. So I'm going to go here to Desmos, use my calculator. 45 plus 108. That's 153. And then I have to divide by 17 on both sides. No shame in the calculator game. All right, divided by 17 is 9. Even your teachers use it. All right, so 9. Are we on the right track? Yes, we are. Okay, so now we just got to find our x. So find x. So I'll choose the first one. Okay, so negative 9x plus 7y equals 9. Again, I'm saying it out loud so I don't miss any signs or anything like that. So I'm plugging the 9 to the y. I'm actually going to go ahead and just plug it in the first step instead of repeating it again. Okay, so the 9, plug that in. Negative 9x, 7 times 9. That's going to be, is that 63? 63, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then minus 63. So that cancels. Negative 9. Okay, different signs. One's positive, one negative. So that means I got to subtract. So 63 minus 9 is 54. And then remember, the 63 is the larger. So that will be negative as well. All right, so now I divide both by negative 9. Remember, divide by the same sign. So negative divided by negative will be a positive, as it should be. All right, so we already know the answer, 6 and 9. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful to you guys. Let me stop the recording now.